Welcome to Neighbor State to Cincinnati, Mr. Gregory Gurbikian.
Somebody's life right now today is going to change. There's something I'm going to say today that will change somebody's life in this room right now. But before I do that, I want us to put our hands together for Cody and his team. All this right here that he's put together is not easy. It's hard work. We've talked about the last couple days about it's hard work. So today what I'm going to do is this. I think that life is a sale. Everything that we do in life is a sale. If you get really good at selling, you can do anything you want. And I'm going to show you a roadmap today. I'm going to give you actionable steps when you leave here that you're going to be able to implement right away. Does anybody in here want to be an absolute sales rock star? Yeah. So I believe that everybody is born a salesperson. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. I have a 3-year-old son named Levi. And what Levi does is this. He's starting to learn his ABCs, but he also learned that there's a cupboard that has food in it. So my 3-year-old will go and he'll take the food out of the cupboard and he'll come and he'll hand it to me. And if I say no, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to go ahead and pout. And he's going to fall on the ground. He's going to start crying. So when he comes to give me the bag, what is he selling? Because this is really key. What is he selling? What?
His pout. He's upset.
Nope.
His disappointment.
Nope. Do you know what he is selling? He's selling him. He is selling him. So you know what agents do is they go out and they don't sell them. They sell the product. They sell the service. You know, we go through life and we stay in that mindset of like, you know what, I'm just going to come and I'm going to sell the bag. No, he's so cute right now that guess what? He melts my heart. And I'm able to go ahead and he convinces me to do it. But you know what? If he gets older and he comes and says, Daddy, give me this bag, do you think I'm going to do it? Probably not. So we have to evolve as salespeople. For when we're born, we have to get better. We have to stop choosing mediocrity. So I was just recently at a concert, a Rockstar concert. And I went to the bathroom, and as I'm getting ready to leave the bathroom, I see somebody wheeling in a chair. And there's a gentleman in the chair, and he's got a huge smile on his face. And I'll never forget that smile for the rest of my life. So I see him walking towards me, and I can see that he's going to the last stall, so I open up the stall. And he's got somebody he's talking to, and I overhear them talking about how he got into an accident 8 months ago. He's got this smile on his face. And they go ahead and he goes into the bathroom. And I walk into the concert hall, and it holds about 2,000 people, so it's a pretty intimate concert. And I get in there, and I see that they're sponsoring something called 50 Legs for prosthetics. And so the rock star that's up on stage is named Bret Michaels of Poison. And what he does is this, is he brings all the amputees up on the stage. And they're all lined up as he sings his song. And guess what? The guy that I saw at the stall is sitting right next to him. He's sitting right next to him. And as I'm watching this, do you know what just happened? Bret Michaels was no longer the rock star. He was my rock star. He chose not to be mediocre. So what I want us all to do right now today is this. If you don't want to be mediocre, I want you to stand to your feet right now because he could not do that. I want you to stand to your feet because he could not do that. And I want you to think about that right now, because every one of us in here can stand to our feet, but he cannot do that. But yet he has a huge smile on his face. So I'm going to give you a strategy, a success map that you can actually follow right now. I call it the success map. And here's how it goes. Life is made up of this. It's made up of 50%. Everybody can sit down now. See, I sold you. There you go. So life is made up of, write this down, because this is going to be invaluable to you. You're going to see something. Life is made up of 50% skill, and it's made up of 50% discipline. That's it. I'm done. That's life's success. But here's how it works is this. Skill, where does skill come from? Skill comes from the mindset. It's a mindset that you have to have. So skill is a mindset. Okay? Discipline comes from where? Comes from the heart. If your heart's not into it, you're not going to be disciplined. So I'm going to give you 3 actionable things right now that you can go in and you can work on starting right away that'll develop your skill and it'll develop your discipline. And here's the very first one. The very first way to develop your skill is you must read. You must read. I think Harry Truman said, not every reader can be a leader, but every leader must be a reader. So everybody in this room just stood up and said they didn't want to be mediocre. So you have to read. If you are going to lead, you have to read. On my flight here, I'm reading a book, and I learned something new. The majority of you in here will not know this because I never knew this. Did you know that Martin Luther King Jr.'s name was not Martin Luther King Jr.? His name was actually Michael King. And for most of his life, his friends all called him Michael King. They did not call him Martin Luther King Jr. His father went over to Europe, and he started studying Martin Luther and the Reformation. And he came back and he changed his name from Michael King to Martin Luther King. And then he had a son. And that son was born, and he named him Michael King. And after a little while, he decided, you know what? I'm going to change his name to Martin Luther King, and he's a junior. That's what reading does, is it opens up the mind, and you start learning new things. So you have to read. In order to be disciplined, you have to give something up. And this is going to be a very, very tough one. You're going to have to give up. You're going to have to give up sleep. You cannot be a successful millionaire on 8 hours of sleep. I'm sorry to tell you that. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. You cannot be a successful entrepreneur on 8 hours of sleep. That is a third of your day that you are sleeping. Cut that to 6 hours. Give yourself 2 hours, and guess what you could do? You could take out the excuse of not being able to read. So if you live 60 years, and you slept 8 hours a day, well, wait a minute, Greg, I expect to live longer than 60 years. That's your problem. I would love to live more than 60 years. I don't know if I've got tomorrow. I view life as an hourglass, and that sand is going down. I have to get going. I can't stop. Because guess what? Any day it could end for me, and it could end for you as well. So if you cut 2 hours of sleep and you live 60 years, do you know how many years you just added to your life? 5 years. Basic math. 60, 20 years you're sleeping, you cut off 2 years, you just gave yourself 5 more years. That's discipline. That's how you become absolutely incredible, and you shed the mediocrity away from your life. The second thing to work on your mindset is this. You have to practice. How many in here sell on the phone? Sell over the phone? You know that your calls are recorded, right? Do you know that you could go back and listen to your calls and listen to what you did right and what you did wrong? My top salesperson, I walked in, and he was there before everybody else, and I said, I see him doing this with his ear. Like, what is he doing? I walk over, I said, Eric, what's going on? I'm listening to my calls from yesterday, trying to figure out what I did wrong. That's how you develop skill. You practice, you practice. Tom Brady said this, no one is willing to sacrifice to be the best like me. Nobody is willing to sacrifice and do what it takes to be like me. And the next words are what just stung me. That's why I'm the best. That is why I am the best. Is because guess what? Nobody's not going to out-practice me. Why does the greatest football player of all time have to go early in the morning and watch game film? Why does he watch every single little thing that goes into his body? Because guess what? He's practicing. It starts in the mind. And then what he ends up doing, in order to be disciplined, you have to be the expert. You want to be disciplined? Be the expert. When somebody needs insurance, they should be thinking of you. If they need something, they should be thinking of you. Whatever you decide to do in your life, you need to become the best at it. So if it's not insurance, and that's not the route that you want to go down, go find something that you can be the best at. The best. The third thing that you work on with skill is this, is you ask for help. Ask others for help. You did the first move today, is you came here asking for help. Asking for help. You've got peers all around you right now. We're all friends now. Ask for help. Ask for help. And this is the most important on the discipline side. And this sums it all up. Don't quit. So if you want to be successful and you want to be wildly successful beyond your imagination, you got to give up sleep. You got to be an expert in your field. And you can't quit. Coming out of college, I ended up working for this company, and at this company, they sold online education to architects and engineers. And in my first month that I was there, the top salesperson came to me and said, "You're a loser. You know what? You're not going to amount to anything. You might as well quit right now." I said, "Excuse me? Who are you?" He said, "I'm the top dog here, and you're not going to be anything, so you might as well just pack up your bags and leave." I said, "Guess what?" I said, "Next month I'm going to be the top salesperson here." And he looked at me and said, "Yeah, you'll be gone before then." So that next month, we're going back and forth. The last day of the month comes around, and it's 6 o'clock, and I'm up by 2 sales. Everybody's walking out the door. They're high-fiving me, "Kyle, dude, Greg, you did it, man. You did it. Like, you beat the elephant. You did it. I said, okay. As I look over, I see he's still dialing. Everybody's walking out. 8 o'clock rolls around, and we're still dialing on the phone, him and I. I'm still up by 1 sale. So 9 o'clock rolls around, and I'm now up by 2 sales. Turns to me and says, Greg, congratulations. You did it. I didn't think you were going to do it. Congratulations to you. I said, you did it. I sat there and I looked at him, and I could just see it in the eyes. He wasn't done. It was a Friday night. I'll never forget it. I had plans with some of my friends. He looks at me, and I'm like, you want to still go? He said, no, I'm good. So we kept dialing. Midnight rolled around. Now we're calling the West Coast. So now 12:01 rolls around, and we both look at each other like, you know what? If we call right now, they're going to see that on Monday morning, and we're both going to be in trouble. I said, but you know what? I'm willing to do it if you are. You want to keep going? He said, nope. He said, you did it. I said, okay, let's leave together then. So we walked out the door, we walked down to the parking lot, and I stayed in the parking lot with him till 3 a.m. in the morning because I was not going to allow him, for some crazy reason, to get up there and call somebody else. That is what has to happen within yourself, is you can't quit. But you know what? I'm going to end with this story because that wasn't my defining moment. I want each one of you right now to look within yourselves and find a defining moment within your life. I was talking to somebody in here, and I asked them this question yesterday. I said, they're telling me their problems or what was going on in their, in their business. I said, what's your defining moment? What's your defining moment? And he told me, he said, Greg, when I was 6, 7 years old, I'd go knock on doors, and I was trying to sell things, and that just kind of lit a little fire under me, and I think that's kind of my defining moment. I said, that is your defining moment. Always go back to that defining moment when you start running into problems. So when he looked at me and he said, you know what? I'm done. We're done. I said, no. I got to go back to my defining moment. My defining moment happened in 8th grade. In 8th grade, I went to a boarding school. My parents were missionaries in Africa. Somebody wouldn't know about me. And I was in 8th grade, and we were all at a boarding school, and all grades were represented from 1st to 12th grade. I was in about 8th grade. And so they had a company-wide speech meet. And at this speech meet, every class would whittle down to the one from that class, and then they would go against the other classes, and then there would finally be the winner. So the day before the speech meet, I was actually the class clown. I had nothing prepared. So I sit down, and she calls for everyone to get up in front of the class and give a little piece of their speech, what they're going to talk about. So I get up there, and I start ad-libbing. And about 15 seconds into it, she stops and goes, Greg, get outside real quick. So I walk outside. I go, it's probably not going to be a good thing right now, but maybe I got a little joke that I can say to kind of get myself out of this one. She pulls me outside and goes, Greg, you're going to be an absolute loser your entire life. She goes, what you're doing right there is defining who you are, and guess what? You think this is a joke, and it might be a joke to you, but guess what? That pattern will be with you for the rest of your life, and you'll be a loser. I looked at her and I said, you know what? I'm going to be the #1 speech meet winner tomorrow. And she looked at me and said, it's going to be a cold day in hell. So we walked back in. She wouldn't even look at me. She was so pissed. And guess what? I went back to my dorm room. And guess what I didn't do that night? I didn't sleep. Didn't sleep one wink all night. I'm going back there right now in my mind as we're speaking right now. As an 8th grader without any sleep at all. But you know what? I had to get a speech. And I had to memorize that backwards and forwards, up and down. I could not be off, because if I was off, she would win and I would lose. And so the next day we got up and I started, and we went through the first class and I moved on. Then I went to the next. And then finally, we all met in the auditorium. It was pretty suspenseful because we didn't know. And so she gets up because she's presenting the awards. And I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. And the first place award goes to Gregory Gurbikian. Please come up to the stage. That award sits on my nightstand to this day, and I keep looking at that because that is my defining moment. I've gotten lots of awards since then, but there's no award that equals that. That award to me is worth millions and millions of dollars. You could not pry it away from me. Go to your defining moment. Look at life. And I'm going to challenge you right now. Each one of you stood up and said you didn't want to be mediocre. So that starts right now. That starts right now by reading, by practicing, by asking for help, by not sleeping in, by being an expert. And at the end of the day, don't quit. If you want to connect with me, you can connect with me. I've got a book on Amazon. The QR code's there. It's called Sell the Problem, Not the Solution. Sell the problem, not the solution, making a big impact right now in our industry because all the words of wisdom that I've put together from 20 plus years of selling. And then you can also connect with me on our Facebook group, Medicare Rockstars. I want to thank you guys for being here. I want to thank Cody for having us as well. And again, if anybody wants a book, I've got 3 books here. Oh, I'll give one here. But again, oh. So here's what I'll do. Here's what I'll do. If anybody takes a picture, goes ahead and tags something to me that I spoke about today, I will send you a free book in the mail. Okay? I want to thank you. That's past my time right now. Thank you, Cody. Thank you, everybody.